Mixed market prices on this Friday ending the week, and Jerry Gidel is the one who is going to comment about that. Right here on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. So Jerry, soybeans end up going down this Friday, but we had corn going up and also wheat. So
Right.
yeah, it's a mixed result. Live cattle also with going up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, kind of a mixed bag. We had very good bounce and strength that going in beans yesterday. Two things kind of helped that as we go into the every people were kind of anticipating maybe some stronger export sales, but we had a very impressive number up there at 85 million. That's part of the things that happened there right as we went into the USDA's monthly report when China came in as a buyer, and we'll probably still have some stronger bean sales next week too. But that's then it seems like these days anything that's it's a 1 day pop and everybody's still ho hum and it's harvest time in the U.S. and things like that. That's really been a kind of the overall thing here. But the one thing that's issues starting to build here in the again in the Black Sea. Earlier in the week, there was seems to be kind of a general optimism from Europe, particularly that something was going to get straightened out here. Uh, it's kind of interesting is the fact that the unfortunate situation of the Kiev bridge being damaged has definitely got Russia's ire up a little bit, and they've really been taking some shots across the whole country here on their civilian targets, and at the same time, they're looking at power stations and things like that. Actually, that's one of the new factors coming in here. In essence, it's more of a if you're going to stub my toe, I'm going to beat you up with other issues in your human life. So that's the thing that's interesting at this point, and that really does not give me a real optimism about the grain deal being extended after this November 15th or 22nd date that is out here in front of us. But right now, at least, the Ukrainians continue to get things out of there, and I think they're up to a total of 8 million metric tons overall, and that's complete taking the railroad and also taking the border stuff through Europe along with the food corridor. So they've been busy. So that's helped things out. But the biggest problem becomes is that if for some reason that gets shut down, that's a real. There's going to be a lot of issues out here of finding the supply. But in the short term, that hasn't been the key feature that people have jumped on.
Yeah, and talking about supply, we had brand new numbers from Argentina, and also I heard myself from a producer in southern Brazil saying that planting the first corn crop has been very, very difficult at this point due to extensive rains and caterpillar attacks.
Oh, I know what you're saying. It's pretty amazing. The wheat crop is a kind of leading indicator of what you're talking about there on spring plantings for corn, and that is the fact that we had the Buenos Aires Exchange drop its number back to 15 this week. Even I think they might even also updated their seeding number into the low 20s. It really wasn't very impressive. Sure, given this situation here where the probability of them in their first stage of planting on corn down there is going to end up being 30% will be the top of the market there, which they can. Last year they thought they were going to plant to 30% or excuse me 40%, and they didn't plant as much of that, and they planted the second half, and the weather turned around somewhat from what it is now. But I think that's the real interesting thing. The less competition from Argentina and corn is seems a very strong possibility here. And the interesting thing about it is that this week we had a couple just noted consultancies here, Strategic Grain and International Grain Council. Both of them took European corn production down 3 million, one down to 50.5 million, the other one down from I think it was like 55 down to 52.5 or 53 from there. So both of them added into this issue that Europe's had issues. Now we're going to potentially have delayed scenarios there in Argentina. Of course, we're going to have that southern Brazil situation. And you also brought up Rio Grande do Sul. I think that's that's usually a very strong early corn scenario for a lot of livestock guys down there. And so if that's not going to be there, and that was a problem last year, it's actually a big problem. And it's kind of interesting that the same weather pattern that kind of banged around southern Brazil last year, Rio Grande, Paraná, Rio Grande do Sul, is right on the doorstep. It's not there right now, and there's been some rains around in Paraguay and those areas, but all of a sudden, if this thing just moves, I don't know, let's just say 200 kilometers north, it could change things pretty significantly. But right now, it's none of the forecasters out there are making that assumption. They're kind of still anticipating that La Nina is going to wane here in December and January, and all of a sudden things are going to be hunky dory. But I guess I'm still a little bit more cautious that might happen. But right now, everybody seems to have got this idea that 2 years in a row we had problems. Can't have them 3 years in a row, can it? That's that's kind of a statistic and betting logic, and sometimes snake eyes can come 3 times.
That's why my bet for the soccer World Cup is England, because England has never won since the 1970s. So that's but
There's some logic there. There's some other issues that kind of come up. Now, weather supposedly doesn't have that scenario on it, but I kind of feel like that the guess when you just expect things like that to work for you, they don't. So, but there's other things going on here at this point. And I tell you, that's seasonally in the U.S. at least, we are really kind of down at the gut shot of our harvest and that. And usually when beans start to get above 60% and corn gets particularly in the high 50s and 60s, the harvest pressure starts to wane a little bit. The biggest problem we got right now is we can't get the grain down the Mississippi because of the Mississippi River. We had issues with that barge just last week. They kind of got it straightened out. Guess what? Today they had 3 different spots. They got to get the dredge out there to knock it down. And wow, that's an interesting situation. Even when we get the stuff sold, it's going to be tough to get down the river.
And given the context that you just described, do you think that corn will head the upside? Yes or no?
Oh, I think there'll be a post kind of harvest scenario here. Uh, the biggest problem on it right now is that uh, there seems to be, internationally we have this whole issue of the Black Sea, and it goes, one moment we're scared that Russia's going to blow it up, and the next moment everybody thinks it's going to continue from there. But seasonally, it's always interesting. I'm trying to get things down the Mississippi and out, and that the seasonal situation usually has some kind of bite to it. And there will be, the other thing is if the world does need this grain, and I think it does, even if there's some transportation issues, that means you just have to have a higher price to get it down there. And right now, at least, I'm not sure we're going to find a whole bunch of extra stuff coming out of Ukraine. And Russia continues to complain about nobody buying their stuff. Europe doesn't have it. I guess the only thing that we're going to see is that Australia has a pretty good wheat crop coming, and that's around the corner.
Yes, and what are you checking for next week?
Well, I think as I said, we'll look at this harvest progress mentality and see how that's going along. continue to kind of monitor what's going on in the yield reports. I've got some other ones out again late this week. Kind of where the things have been on the tough order. They're having less than a year ago type of results, and interestingly enough, some of the ones in the east I haven't seen as many there. Sometimes that means that when people shut up, that means they got a better crop in that. But at the same time, I kind of feel like that this uh, that the of course the ongoing issues and as I mentioned the Black Sea and then what's going on in the Mississippi and that kind of stuff. But there's supposed to be a little rain next week, maybe in the northern areas of the Midwest across the Dakotas, maybe in here in the northern part of Chicago or northern part of Illinois, and that into Chicago, and that so that might slow down a little bit of harvest pressure in the short term. But kind of feel like this market is still has a lot of volatility in it, and if we ended up have any kind of wild news come out of the Black Sea or things like that. But the one thing you got to keep in mind here is that swings up towards that $7 or taking beans up into the 14 to 14.50 zone. Those are probably places to make some additional sales too. So at this point, getting back in 50 to 60% sold is a good particular position to be in here this year because of some of the longer term ideas here, and that the world economics is definitely another feature that's a real wild card. So I'm not sure where you put that, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind.
All right, thank you very much, Jerry.
You have a good weekend, and it's finally 70 degrees in Chicago, so we're going to enjoy it.